Facebook. It was challenging, the first one.
Because he wanted to be in the place of love.
Somebody came up with the idea.
And he was 100% accurate in his prediction.
Selenium, iodine, or calcium, you don't have to know any of that stuff. All you have to be able to do is chew.
Hit it. Roll them. Come on in, everybody. Thank you for being here so early. Welcome to the Strange Universe panel, everybody. Yay! So there you go. Once again, the goal of the Strange Universe panel was a long time ago. We did a TV show on UPN. Bill Siegel, who was the guy, it was very interesting. I met Bill Siegel at the NewLIFE Expo. He came up to me and he handed me a card, and he said, "I'd really like you to come work for me." And the card said, Chris Craft Industries on it. And I said, "Well, thank you, Mr. Siegel, but I'm really not interested in buying a boat." And he said, "No, I own UPN, and we'd like you to come do one of our shows." So when they first started out with Star Trek Voyager, and Lucy Sulhaney was the president of the network, we put together a show called Strange Universe that was executive produced by, oh gosh, I forget. But it ran for about 2.5 years or so. It was a great show, and then I went on and did a radio program called Strange Universe with Sean David Morton. And Coast to Coast and all that. So did a program, radio show for a while nationally, and we just kind of continued it because the great thing about Strange Universe is that it encompasses everything. It's a strange universe, and we just work here. So one of the fun parts about it is I get to take people that I know and love, and individuals who are doing what I consider to be fantastic work in the worlds of spirit and ongoing evolution and the power of thought in the human mind or whatever, and present them to you so that you can get an idea. And once again, this is very much an open forum. I know how shy and retiring you New Yorkers can be. I know that you have great difficulty speaking in public places or asking questions or voicing your opinion at all. So I would like to say that I understand so many of you have a psychological gate between what you think and what you say. Joke, but so anyway, so let me just start by introducing the panel, and I'm going to throw a couple of questions out there. But the point of this is kind of a meet and greet, if you will, so that you folks can ask your own questions and draw your own conclusions, and maybe get a preview of people that you'd like to see later on in the day or later on the weekend. This is actually, in my opinion, one of the best shows that Mark's put together in a long time. Not that he doesn't do good shows all the time, but we've just got amazing people who've come from all parts of the world. And I think because so many people are hearing the clarion call of the coming 2012 date, we're watching the collapse of the financial system, we're watching the complete restructuring of the world economy, we're looking at Mayan prophecies coming true, we're looking at Great Pyramid prophecies coming true, we're looking at crop circles that are actually beginning to predict the future in England, as an example, to give us future events. And so, once again, this is a way to not only have this wonderful panel answer my questions, but mostly to create a dialogue so that you folks can ask questions as well. And what we're doing is we're taping this for the internet, like they always do, and it seems everything's on the internet these days. So what happens is if you folks actually ask a question, don't worry, I'll repeat the question for the mic and for the camera. I'm not being obnoxious, I'm just repeating your question so that the panel can hear it. My first guest...
Can we ask the room captain, Austin, if they can cut down? It's a little warm, I think, for the people.
Okay, Trisha's already having hot flashes, so... the vapors, I must be having the vapors, I'm going to faint. We need to get her like a little jeweled fan or something. So, but she wants the room captain, whoever that is. I don't think we have a whoever pounds the erasers during recess needs to see if we can. Needs to see if there's some way they can. Are you guys hot, warm, cold? I think it's I'm actually afraid to touch it because if I do, it's I don't know if it'd make it hotter or warmer. Or, is this what you're talking about here?
The one in the middle. The middle there.
Those are white. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Okay. My first guest on the Strange Universe panel. He is an expert on Mesoamerican. Wow, Mike just went hot. An expert on Mesoamerican philosophies and prophecies. He is a world traveler. He leads fantastic tours to Peru and South America. He's pioneered something called the super learning techniques. He's got a talk later on today. Actually, he's got a lecture at noon in the Gramercy Park Room, and in his talk you'll discover ways to access the diverse and incredible powers of the mind when using the other 90% of your brain. He teaches how to retrain your mind to absorb information about above 1 million words per minute through the very advanced method of light speed learning, which is something that he's one of the pioneers in. He's one of the founders of the Light Speed Learning Foundation and has been instructing in the areas of accelerated learning, manifesting quantum physics, sacred geometry, the application of universal law for over the past 30 years. He is my brother from another mother. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Thomas Morton.
All right, thanks, John. It's great to be here.
I have to introduce everybody first. You don't get to talk yet.
Okay.
Put the mic down.
I'm here.
He's chomping at the bit, though. I want to say something. This next lady, who by her own intimations, has been living in a cave for the last 3 years. She is her lecture today is called "The Quest for the Philosopher's Stone." She's a world-renowned clairvoyant, author, and teacher of the mysteries, and takes on the legends of the famed Philosopher's Stone, a mythic talisman linked with spirituality, science of the great ascended masters, known as the Great Work. She talks about the alchemical stone as being the heart of enlightened matter with spirit, and you can help. She helps you discover ancient languages of Hermetics, the legacy of the ancient mystery schools, the purpose behind trained Christian doctrine, Egyptian, Celtic, Native American, and goddess traditions. I haven't seen her in such a long time. We've missed her. She is a world-renowned clairvoyant. She's a lecturer on everything that has to do with the Ascended Masters. You living in Georgia now? Atlanta still? In Atlanta? Boy, that is living in a cave, living in Atlanta there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have known this woman for years and years and years and years and years, and yet I still love her. Tricia Mechanic, ladies and gentlemen. Our next guest has come from a long way. She's come directly from tossing the One Ring into the flames of Mordor. She's fought orcs and trolls and evil white wizards, and she just came from actually a 3-week stint at Rivendell, where I hear the food is very good amongst the elven kings and queens, and so she has come all the way from New Zealand just for a guy like me to give her flack here. And she's flown from New Zealand to come see you folks. She is a world-renowned trance channel of fantastic extraterrestrial and interdimensional energies. Here's the man to help Tricia with her hot flashes. And a world-renowned psychic, channeler, intuitive. She's one of the nicest, loveliest people that I know. She's come all the way from New Zealand, so a big round of applause for Judy Humphreys Satori. This next lovely, lovely lady is, her lecture actually is today at 4 o'clock in the Tribeca Room. So you can come and experience the divine energies of the Mahatma, a crystal skull channeler enabled by the Ascended Masters. She'll discuss the Ascension process and the Ascension Toolkit available to you to heal and raise your energies to fifth dimensional unconditional love, including what she calls the rising star healing. She's also a world-renowned psychic, intuitive, a person channeling the energy of the Ascended Masters, which we could certainly use in this day and age. Please welcome the lovely, the magnanimous Allison Jane. This lovely lady and I have been through the battlefields of many an expo, as they say, from here to Florida to Timbuktu or wherever. She is a natural psychic and intuitive. She says it runs in her family, that it is in fact genetic. She and her mother, when she was younger, were a very famous mother-daughter psychic intuitive team. Just correct me if I'm wrong here on any point. Hello, wake up. Hey, how are you? She's you currently based in Florida still?
I'm still
currently based in Florida. She has her own column in the newspapers down there. I believe it's a weekly column.
I'm in the Globe every week.
She's in the Globe every week. So if you pick up the Globe, she can there telling you, dishing about Angelina's tattoos and Brad Pitt, et cetera, et cetera. She's worked with numerous police forces. She's been on TV on Psychic Detectives. I'm sorry, she's correcting her resume here. What was that again? and Court TV. Oh, Court TV. I'm sorry. Did I not mention Court TV? Court TV on Psychic Detectives. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman who never interrupts me when I'm introducing her, Jill Dane. And what more can be said about our next guest, ladies and gentlemen? He is the Ayatollah of rock and roller. He is the Dean of the University of Spiritual Publicity. He is the man. He is the man, the myth, the legend. What can I say? He is. I usually go off longer on this, but I'm tired today. He is the earthquaking, pie bacon, air conditioning shaking.
That's what I like to be.
Master of the realities. He is the wow, James Brown, cause Papa don't take no mess, baby. Of the spiritual New Age world, he is as fashionable and stylish as he is spiritual and intuitive. Ladies and gentlemen, the bishop of over 144 churches throughout the galaxy.
That was good.
The ambassador from Sirius, the world-renowned psychic to world leaders, the only man who's been inside George Bush's head and gone, why isn't there anything in here? Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend James Capers, ladies and gentlemen. Reverend James Capers and his psychic puppy, ladies and gentlemen. His psychic puppy. What's your psychic puppy's name?
Hope Angel.
What's his name?
Hope Angel.
Hope Angel. Hope Angel, the psychic puppy. Ladies and gentlemen, the dog of destiny. Gang of fun. All right, let me just throw a couple of them out there. I'm sure you guys are just chomping at the bit. With stuff to say. Actually, Thomas, we'll start with you at this end since we've gone through there. But a little brief introduction going down the line, and then please, once again, monologues are dictatorial and ultimately fascist and lead to Republican administrations. Therefore, questions from you. This is what this is all for. So let me just throw out there. I think this is. Please don't tell me that's one of your cell phones. Thank you. I think this is probably one of the most important shows that I think we've done because once again there are people gathering from all over the world that are coming here to New York City. There's a new light kind of burning in the city right now that has to do with I think the elections and with what's going on. These people are probably in my opinion, some of the smartest people in the world because they get it, because they think, therefore they're dangerous. And so the idea behind a lot of this, with all the turmoil politically and economically and otherwise, I guess we're all looking at the final countdown to 2012 that a lot of people think of, which is not going to be the end of the world, but maybe the end of the world as we know it, which we've seen on Wall Street this week, which we're seeing in politics very soon. We're seeing a complete restructuring of the planet and the world. So I guess let me throw the question out there. I mean,
What's going on?
give me first off, please shut your cell phone off. Thank you very much. Or take the call somewhere else, or go. Yeah, thanks. All right, so Tommy, let me throw it out to you. Once again, paint the future for me, or just pontificate on what you see going on in the world from your unique skew and perspective.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Realistically, I believe that a lot of us understand that we're in a terrific state of change, and that change isn't just on the outside, it's more actually on the inside, what's happening on the inside of each one of us. And we're in a collective awakening. There's the entire planet is moving through a process where we're shifting up in consciousness, and I'm sure others will speak about that. Really, what I'm going to share about here is really not 2012, but more around the lines of 2013, because once we reach a state where everything's changed, or we've gone through a terrific uplifting process, what's going to happen then? And I think it's important for you all to know that there's been people that have been online as far as connected that are very, very in tune to this, working with the Ascended Masters and others to actually bring in the information, the direction, and an actual plan for the planet to, again, become a school for ascending. a school for an uplifting process. The whole planet's been laid out. There's energy sites all over the planet that are going to be used once again, and other energies coming in from above that have not yet been used. Our solar system is moving around a big circle around the central sun every 26,000 years or so, and every 13,000 years we move through an area known as a photon belt. This is an astronomical fact. This is scientific fact, and we're in this area right now.
We're in the photon belt now?
We're in this area.
As opposed to the futon belt where you get mugged by Japanese with little pillows.
That's a big difference. Don't get confused about that. And when we're in this area, we don't know if that's the reason that the number 13 came up as being the unlucky number, but actually the truth is that it's really an opportunity for change. Our entire planet is set up, all the sacred sites are set up for change to happen at this time. So everything has been set up for us to evolve at this time. That's why the Mayan calendar ends, and nothing ever really ends. We're eternal beings. We never had a beginning, therefore we'll never have an end. We fall into infinite law. Finite means it had a beginning, therefore it will have an end. So we're not in a place where we're going to ever perish. In the physical plane, we may exit this temple and re-embody, but nevertheless, we're still eternal beings. So it's important to exit the fear-based consciousness of a little bit of lifespan that you're trying to hang on to, and understand that we're eternal. We're always in life, never have not been. The other part is this, is that a fear-based consciousness collectively can catapult us into an undesirable outcome. So it's important for us, as in those that are awake, to stay in a very focused inner state of being very positive, seeing only the accomplished desire. This is laws of manifestation in being the accomplished desire. Not only see it, be it and feel it. Be in this place of actually experiencing your most beautiful dreams of where the planet could go, and you will assist in actually manifesting that to happen. And you'll have a chance to see it too. So it's all about a process here. We're actually in a process right now of bringing in information, and we're doing it regularly in classes, and I'm going to talk at 12 o'clock, I think, in this room.
Yes, yeah, actually right here after the panel.
The point is that we're able to access information at super speed. So we've known this for a very long time, the so-called intelligence community, which really it's not so intelligent, but nevertheless, they've been using this for quite a long time, and we've been teaching in this area for 35 or 40 years, myself around 20, and what it is super learning, actually subliminal learning in an alpha state. We were naturally meant to be in an alpha state of consciousness. We're the only species on the planet that's in beta. Beta is a very dysfunctional, disorganized, dissynchronized state of consciousness, and it's where all hatred, division, all of the negative thought form resides there, and none of it resides in alpha.
Let me ask you a quick question here. You have, in your experience, when you've interconnected with people in the government or people in the intelligence community or people to whom, have you, because I've been stunned every time I interact with them, how seriously they take everything that we're talking about here. Have you had that experience?
Well, yeah, I'm quite sure there's someone.
Because they know everything. Everything you guys are learning here. The further you get into the military-industrial entertainment complex, the more seriously they take all this. I mean, you talk about, because they understand that everything most of the people out there know is wrong, is an illusion, is a web of lies, that it's a matrix that they've created. When you're in the entertainment business, we do it because they manipulate the news and propaganda. We're in the military. The military is 15 to 20 years ahead of anything that you know about. And they take all this stuff, whether it's prophecy or Nostradamus or super learning or the stuff that Thomas is talking about, very, very seriously, because they see this as the next phase in development, because their job is to construct models of what the future is going to look like, not just in the next quarter, but 10, 20, 30 years all the way down the line.
Well, absolutely. And also subconscious subliminal programming has been active for the last 20, 25 years, very active in our government and other governments also. We show patents where the government's actually using these techniques to control the masses. And not only that, other governments, their elections, and actual self-induced suicides.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you have so much knowledge on this topic. One last thing. Somebody asked me the question, the switch in February of 2009 to high-definition television and 1080p or whatever else, what are the potentials? I'll ask this question as we get on the line, because we have to sort of move on here. But just in brief, and I know this is a big topic, but so many people have asked me, again, subliminal programming, aspects for abuse, being able to put pulses through high definition television. Because what Thomas does, has anybody seen the TV show Chuck? Anybody ever seen that TV show? Two people, Chuck? Chuck, forget, you all live in caves, you don't have TV. The TV show Chuck is about a guy who works in a buy more store, and he gets these flashes where he becomes a computer intersect in his mind, and that's a lot of what Thomas kind of does. In brief, can you talk about maybe the abuses of high definition television and what's going to go on after February 2009?
Yeah, first of all, I would definitely share that unless you're very clear about who's producing the program and who's behind it, that you
and they're all scum, believe me, I know them.
You pretty much stay away from it because it does have the ability to deliver a tremendous amount of things to your subconscious mind without you even having a clue that it's taking place, unless you're trained to identify it. Right. You can be trained. And that's a key factor. You can also turn that switch off. We do that in class.
Okay, well,
the last question is, the government and other governments, what they're using are these techniques to still the masses. Has anybody thought about why there is no protest going on about Iraq? Has anybody even thought about that? There's nothing compared to Vietnam. There's nothing compared to Vietnam.
Well, I don't think we're as involved because there's not a draft.
Well, we're not as involved because there's been a disinformation, dissynchronization of us between us and our feelings to do something about it. So we get to a certain point when we want to, but then we stop. That's right where the wall is, right when you're allowed to feel like you want to help, but until you can't do really anything about it.
Okay.
So we're going to go on to
all right. Thomas Morton, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. And now the lovely, the gracious, the vivacious, the very purple, Tricia McCannon.
I'm just going to stand because it's a little easier for me to see all of you, and I know some of you in the
go
back
ahead.
can't see so well. Thank you, Sean.
welcome,
I appreciate it. It's great to see Sean again, too, for many years.
It's been a long time.
It has
long
been.
time. Yeah, like 10 years at least, so it's nice to see you. You look lovely.
Thank you. Well, actually, for about 16, 17 years, I've traveled and spoken around the world in about 3 countries and maybe 10 to 14 cities a year. But as Sean said, about 3 years ago, I did go into the cave. So he probably hasn't seen me actually in about 3 or 4 years.
Are you literally, or just because you were working on your book?
Well, I'll explain that.
Oh, okay, all right.
So,
I never know with you, Tricia.
Well, it is true that my level of interest has always been what is the truth behind the illusion. So, as a seer, and there are many different kinds of clairvoyance. As many of you may know, clairvoyants are like people that have antennas. And some people's antennas are pointed to the stock market. Sean's pretty good at that. Some are love lives. You're probably pretty good at that. My antenna has always been pointed really to the higher levels of reality. So I've always been very interested in, who are we at the highest level? If you just go beyond the 3rd dimension, the 4th dimension, the 5th dimension, up into the higher levels. So for me, I've sort of, over the last 20 years of doing over 6,000 readings, I track souls from the highest level, their angelic level. And one of the things I've seen is that even though we're down here, most of us with amnesia, asleep at the wheel, many times going very cattywampus in our direction, we actually originate in the angelic kingdom. And when we come down, we go through a process of eventually falling asleep and having amnesia and falling under the spell of illusion that we're separate from the divine. And a lot of my work has really been tracking souls from that place, discovering where we're asleep, how we've been wounded, how we've become disempowered, and helping people to actually shift their consciousness to remember who they are at their highest levels. I have been in a cave. I only just in the last few months have come out. I was in England for about a month speaking about 10 different engagements at the crop circle conferences and so forth. And I have a new book that's coming out. I have one book out, Dialogues with the Angels, and I have a new book that's coming out in the spring, a hardback book on the lost years of Jesus and the secret schools of initiation, where I have tracked him through those 30 missing years with 1,000 footnotes, 200 illustrations, and a 15-page bibliography. Mm-hmm. And I've had an opportunity to get access to some of the 560,000 documents hidden in the Vatican that no one has been allowed to see since 1903, when Pope Leo X closed those archives to the general public. And so it's a very powerful book. Hopefully it will be out in March if I get my revisions done in November and December. When we start talking about the cycles of time, the vast cycles of time, as someone who is a time walker, who has journeyed back through the records of over 6,000 people, through Atlantis and Lemuria, and then tracking souls coming in from the Pleiades and from the Sirian systems and from the Orion systems up in the fourth and the fifth dimension. I'm someone who's very interested in these great and vast cycles of time. And as Thomas said, most of us, how many of you know about the precession of the equinox? It's a 26,000-year cycle. And it has within it cycles within cycles. It's sort of like wheels within wheels and gears within gears. So at one level, we could say that we entered the Kali Yuga, or the Dark Age, 5,000 years ago. But even within the movement of the Dark Age, there are cycles that take us through the Dark Age, it's actually the Iron, the Bronze, the Silver, and the Golden. And the Iron Age, which is where we were for a really long time, especially through the Dark Ages, was characterized by instinctive behavior. Basically, I want property, I want land, I want sex, I want this, I'll take what I want, and, I'll just kill you with my hatchet, okay, if you don't go along with it. And then we have the next level, which is really the Bronze Age, which is characterized by intellectualism, which is definitely the age we've been in. We've been moving slowly towards that. The Renaissance began to bring it in the 1500s, 1700s. You see it more definitely in our age, mental. And then we have a shift into the Silver Age, which is characterized by intuition. And this is where a lot of you are here. You all are shifting very quickly, and the planet, because we're in the, in this end of this particular age, we are, which I'll speak to in just a second. Many of you are accelerating so quickly, you are already moving into a place of high-level intuitive knowing. And then finally we come to the Golden Age, which is characterized literally by direct information connection with the divine, without having to go through all of the scientific logic. And when we start talking about magic, in earlier ages of the planet, magic was much more available to us because the connection between our mind, our spirits, and matter in the world of, let us say, the Silver Age or the Golden Age, we were able to manifest, think it and manifest. We see a lot of these principles showing up again in the literature of today. How many of you know about The Secret? I'm sure you do. I mean, that's literally just one of Thoth's 7 hermetic laws of the universe, that the universe is mental and that it responds to our thoughts, our emotions, and our feelings. When we start talking about where we are now, there are many systems for how to look at this. Within the Hopi and the Lakota and a lot of those traditions, they talk about the fact that the earth has been destroyed or wiped clean at least 3 other times. First by fire, second by ice, the Ice Age, and third by the flood. And they were coming to the end of a cycle or the end of an age. And the good news is that the next cycle is called the Age of Illumination. But many things have to change.
How does the last cycle end?
Yes.
Well, that's actually a very big conversation, and it's one that I'll be talking about this week. It's not some.
This week, buy the ticket.
Well, no, let me say to you, there's actually a very big conversation because I've been privy to some very hidden secret information in this cave time that cannot be conveyed in a 30 seconds or 1 minute standing up here. I'm perfectly happy to share it with you, but it's really not the kind of thing that I can say, well, this is what it is, and then you leave going, what? I mean, I think it's really, really important to try to give you grounding. When I speak, even though I'm a mystic and a clairvoyant, my dad was a lawyer. I love archaeology, anthropology, science. Tomorrow I'm literally going to be showing photographs, physical photographs of 35-foot tall beings, okay, that have walked this planet. I'll be showing the skeletal remains of archaeological discoveries of 20-foot, 15-foot, 12-foot, and 36-foot tall human beings that walked the planet, that are discoveries that are occurring today on the planet that are being covered up by most people don't know anything about this.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're covering up the past?
Oh, wow, Sean. I'm sure Sean knows the answer to this question, but and I'm sure everyone else does. But he's doing the dialogue thing. All right. Well, okay.
It's a panel. We do dialogue.
Right. Okay. So why
I ask you
don't we-
questions, you answer them theoretically.
Right, theoretically. Okay, so the answer to that would be that the established religions are, and governments, of course, are afraid of losing control. Okay?
Right.
I mean, this isn't a big surprise to anybody. You
Plus,
know,
they don't want one team to become dominant in the NBA. That's probably the other thing, too.
I mean, really, these beings, their heads were 5 to 6 feet tall. Really, they could just
Wow.
pick you up and munch.
I have a head that big, actually.
Not quite that big. It's a little smaller, 2 feet. Right.
All right.
Anyway,
give me a
so
30-second wrap-up on this.
well, actually, I mean, there's so much to say. I'll pass the microphone, and I'm sure there'll be more questions. And anyway, there are these flyers. Andy's got some in the back, and I'm going to be staying this week. I'll probably I'm speaking Monday night, tomorrow, Monday night, Wednesday night, and Friday night.
She's actually in. You guys just have to sit in this room. Thomas Morton's here at 12. I'm here at 1. Tricia's here at 2, and Judy Humphrey Satori is here at 3. Where are you going to be this week?
Wherever the Mark has the expo thing on Monday night. I don't even know. I mean,
Monday
I just
night,
got
but
in.
the rest of the week
And
you're
then,
going to be doing readings?
I'm going to be. Yeah, I'll be doing readings Monday through Friday. I only have room for maybe 25 readings, and that's it. I'm so sorry. I love doing them. They're profound. They're life changing because they really are at the higher level coming down.
There you go.
But and there's a flyer, and it's got.
And there's a
addresses.
flyer. Ladies and gentlemen, Tricia McGannon.
Thank you so much.
There we go. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the queen of Middle-earth, Galadriel herself, come from Rivendell, the land of the elves and the trolls.
Well,
Judy Humphreys, did you get married? Is your last name, or did you, Satori?
No, Satori is a name that Spirit asked me to take.
Ah, okay. So it's, I thought you married somebody named Satori, so I was going, konnichiwa. So, ladies and gentlemen, Judy Humphreys, Satori. There we go.
And it's interesting because Auckland, where I come from, is really close to Rivendell, which is about
Where they actually
2 hours
shot- where
away.
they actually
Where
shot the
shot
movies.
it. Yes, where they actually shot it. However, I don't want to talk about Rivendell or Auckland. I really want to follow on a little bit about what Tricia said, actually, because we are at a point of absolute change on the planet Earth, more than we've ever changed before. Because we're at the end of a fourth great age, a fourth great 26,000 year, it's actually 25,920 year cycle, but almost 26,000 year cycle of time. This is called the Great Year, or the Annus Magnus. And we're at the point of the summer solstice. And you know what it's like in the summer whenever all the trees are blooming and the flowers are at their most beautiful. And we feel really great because it's warm and cozy. So we're at that point now where the Earth is about to move into a new phase of evolution, and so are we. This new energy of the Earth we call the fifth dimension. But what it actually means is that this is a new energetic vibration for the Earth, because the Earth is a living, breathing entity just as we are. And so the Earth is being affected now by emissions of light from the galactic center, the galactic core, the center of our galaxy, and this is affecting all the planets in our solar system, not just the Earth. And as these emissions of energy, huge energy, come into the Earth's atmosphere, they're affecting the weather. We're getting space weather patterns. They're also affecting us, because we are beings of the Earth. We are calibrated to Earth vibration. And for a long time, this has been a slower, what we call third dimensional vibration. Now we're being revved up. A lot of people say to me that their heart is pulsating faster, that their heart is speeding up, and they feel ascension symptoms like dizziness or fatigue. The body sometimes starts to feel like it's breaking down, that we're getting sick. That's not really the case. I mean, I've been in this cave period, just like Tricia, where my body's actually been through huge physical change. I spent a week in June flat on my back while spirit, day by day, over 7 days, totally recalibrated the cells of my body. And I was told that my body changed from a carbon type structure, cellular structure, to a different type of atomic and molecular structure. And the reason for this is because my blood group has also changed from O to A. And the reason for this is not so that I'm any different to anybody else out there. The reason for this is that I'm a conduit. I'm a vessel, a channel for energy. And the energy is coming from spirit. It's coming from the Elohim. El is the Hebrew word for God. And Elohim is plural for God. It's like the gods. And it's the creation energy of God. And so this energy comes through me. I'm a channel for it. And the reason for it is to prepare people, all of us, for life on this different vibrating earth, this faster pulsating vibrating earth. Because we're now at a time where we're speeding up as we go towards 0 point, the time of this transition or this time of this shift. And we've been in this shifting time for a long time now. But as we move towards 2012, 2013, because it's not like an exact science, it will happen when it happens. It will happen, it may happen on the 21st of December, but it's not probably going to be like suddenly there's a major change. But there is a change which will take place, and this is over a 3-day period. It's what is called a time warp overlap, where the energetic constraints around the Earth, this is the magnetic lines of force around the Earth, will be terminated temporarily, and the Earth will be put into a state of void, a state of null, electromagnetic null zone.
And this is the time warp?
This is the time warp.
Is there a dance that goes along with that?
Well, there probably is the time warp rock, but anyway, the thing about this 3-day period is that I am told that this 3-day period is very crucial for us to maintain a consciousness of high, light, and love. Because, you know, all during this time of change, we are being bombarded by these frequencies from the galactic core. And this is bringing up our stuff like never before. It's bringing up into our conscious awareness what we call karmic miasms. This is the energetic static, or the distortion, if you like, from all our thoughts of all the lifetimes we've ever had. I used to do a lot of work with clearing karmic miasms, but now I'm being asked by Spirit to move into a new phase. This is why I've been in the cave as well, to be recalibrated, to bring through new energy. And this new energy is energy of recreation. All my events at this workshop are about recreation, preparing the body to handle this faster pulsating fifth-dimensional frequency, because there will definitely be changes to the cellular structure.
Is that why it's so important when the sun aligns with the galactic center in 2012, December 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 2012, that galactic pulse is then amplified by the lens of the sun? Is that why that's unique?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But there will also be new words, new energy words of recreation spoken at that time by the Elohim. One of my role, and probably the role of others on this planet, is to ground this energy into the earth and to speak, just literally speak the words. So, you know, I'm just being trained and prepared to do this. We've all got a plan, we've all got a role, we all have a part to play, and this just happens to be mine. So what I want to say is that this time is crucial to wake ourselves up in terms of, do we align with fear or do we align with love? We really need to understand that thoughts that come up into our conscious mind are not necessarily us. They're very often just the old memory of our past experience coming up. And we so often identify the thoughts that come into our mind as being in the now, and we might project them on other people, or we might think things about ourselves which are not true. We have to remember that we are gods and we are goddesses. We've been like that before. We've been angelic beings. We came from the stars. The ancient Egyptians looked to the stars and they knew that this was home. They knew that they had come from this place, and they remembered. There's an energy. It's an energy of recreation that they knew. It's called the Sa. The pharaohs of ancient Egypt understood that this was the life force of the recreation or the regeneration energy of God, of the Elohim. But they didn't know how to connect to it, because at that time, you know, we're talking about, say, 18th dynasty, this would be like about 3000 BC, 1500 BC. At that time, they knew it, but they could not connect. Now we're at the end of this time. We're at the end of this 26,000-year great age. We're moving into this new cycle of time. The gods are walking again upon the earth. And they're walking again upon the earth in us. In us. We are becoming the gods and goddesses that we truly are. But the gods and goddesses, I believe, after 2012 will walk with us. Beings from other star systems will, I believe, literally walk with us. Because we are moving into galactic time. We're moving into space-time. And we're moving into a whole new way of being. So the old ways are breaking down. We can see that in the economy. We can see that in politics. We can see this in wars and discord around the world. But this is temporary. It's always been promised that this is a temporary thing.
There we go.
and we're moving into this wonderful new time when we are becoming the gods and goddesses that we truly are, and we're entering a new age of peace and love and unity.
And on that lovely note, Judy Humphreys, ladies and gentlemen. And she will actually be in the Tribeca room on the 4th floor at 4 o'clock. The lovely, the vivacious Allison James. Everybody's very purple today, too, by the way. So, congratulations on the purple.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here. And
See, isn't she lovely? She's lovely already, don't you think? Can I just have you read a Winnie the Pooh story to me, and just like that? And one day, Pooh walked through the 100-acre wood with Christopher Robin. I love these English people. They're so poshy, don't you think?
well, let me say that we are all the same. And I was actually stopped on the street, and somebody said to me, "Are you a registered Democrat?" And I said, "No, I'm a registered alien."
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to say that we're all those aliens. It's that we are here to do this work, to help the planet ascend, to help humanity evolve to its next step in evolution. We have all agreed to come, and it's a thrill to be here and see so many faces looking and searching to find their next step. What is it that brings you and propels you to this tremendous event that we have here? And you're all looking for this answer to your lives, and I am here to help and assist you in that process. I came to my path through a spiritual teaching, and I'm always a student. I believe that we all are. But there is an awareness that I have come to that I would like to share with you. And during this process of change and transition, which is really intense for all of us, there is one answer to all of it. And as my teacher, Derek O'Neill from Ireland, who channeled the Rising Star, would say, love is the answer. So what was the question? So we are learning through this very intense time while we're receiving these tremendous energies from the cosmos, from the ascended masters, and through all the beings of light. They are actually walking with us, through us, and as us. And so as we learn to shift ourselves through all these changes, firstly, it's a matter of allowing yourself to go through this process. I was recently at an activation, and the masters came through and they said to me, well, please tell the people that it is time for them to trust. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're witnessing on the planet, be it social, economic, whether it's something that's happening internationally, whatever it is, don't go into fear and don't doubt your own process, your own feelings and your own judgment. Whatever you're going through at any point in time is absolutely perfect. And that's what they wanted me to convey today. Whatever you are feeling, whether it's something small, something large, something that affects more than just you, perhaps your community, this nation, allow it to be processed. Allow the feelings, the emotions, all the judgments, all the checks, allow them to come up. Allow yourself to process them out. This is your way of releasing all those programmed ideas and thoughts and actions and even reactions that you are programmed with. And I say programmed because it's time for us to stand in our truth, to be that light. Yes, there's so much happening around you, but you can't buy into all of that negativity. It's time for us, individually and collectively, to say we are that love. We are that light, to waken and reawaken and remember ourselves, bring ourselves back into the fullness, our multi-dimensional selves of the truth of who we are.
Amen. There you go.
So I am here to share a method with you. Please come and listen to me on at 4 o'clock. I'm going to be sharing with you something about the rising star, and I would just like to speak for a moment about it. Why the rising star? It has come at this time. The Masters have brought this through. It is a healing system which is Christ consciousness. There is nothing higher within the spiritual hierarchy. The Masters have brought this through for you, to help you through this time of transition. It is so powerful, and it will allow you to move in this time of transition to your next level of being. So without being any more commercial than that,
Okay, it's what for.
Yeah.
Do you have a workshop at the expo this week? Or
at 4 o'clock I'm going to be teaching.
4 o'clock you're speaking, but
Speaking about it,
Right.
and then you can come and see me. Now, at my table, I'm also channeling the Masters. And the Masters, I want to assure you and reassure you that all of the Masters, all of your angels and guides and the beings of light are helping all of you, all the time. You all have so much love and support, and you only have to reach, open up, become aware, and receive this information that Thomas was talking about. Find that magic which has transcended all civilizations, all religions, all beings throughout this cosmic system. It's all here for us right now. So it's up to you to open to it, open your hearts, and I'm here to help you do that.
Amen. Allison James. And now the shy, the retiring, the wallflower, the.
I want what you had this morning.
Oh, actually, I got the burst of energy because I was up talking to Reverend James last night.
Honestly, you belong with Disney. Your voice.
Doesn't
is
she have
so
the loveliest voice? Isn't it poshy? It's terribly poshy.
It's so beautiful.
Yes. I had an English girlfriend once.
Purple is healing.
And she kept saying, is, and I thought she wanted me to play with her ears, and she was saying yes. Is. Ears? You ever think about ears? Is. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, she's got her hair up, she's got her sleeves rolled back, she's ready to sock it to him. The lovely, the wonder of the vivacious Jill Danikins. There you go.
I love you too, Sean.
I love you too. Go ahead.
You know I love
Let
you.
it rock and roll, baby.
Okay.
Lay it on us.
Okay, first I want to say I'm not a mother and daughter team. My mom has a name of her own. She was on Merv Griffin and
I'm
Johnny
sorry, did I
Carson.
say that you were a mother-daughter team?
Yes,
you
you
worked,
did.
But when you were younger, you worked with your mom, right?
When I was 6 years old, I used to do radio with Larry King.
Okay, there you go.
With my mom. Yes, with my mom when I was younger. But what I'm saying is, when I was younger, I've been predicting for the world, and my first major prediction, I was 13 years old, and it's all about wars and about Muslim attacks and things like that. And what I want to say is, we're going through a process right now, and my prediction is that come more toward 2012, you're going to see a lot of crimes going down. You're going to see a lot of crimes going down after 2009, if I could say. You're going to see all the corruption that you guys have in New York City. I would like to say I have a radio show, and every time I say I can't wait to come to New York, they're my favorite people, I forget I'm in Florida, and that's where I am. But
Well, same thing.
no, but they get upset.
Just New York South down there.
They get upset. But I love coming here. I'm from Jersey to begin with. But anyways, you're going to start seeing there's a lot of corruption in your Westchester County and your Yonkers County, if I could say. And you're going to start seeing come 2012. Well, really, if I could say around after 2012, 13, 14, you're going to see all these people getting put down. So everything that you may read in your papers or things like that, you're going to start to see a major change where there's going to be big changes. All these crimes people are going to change. It's like everyone right now has major intuition, and you all have intuition. You're born with it. You just don't follow it. And especially when come around 2012 with relationships. I've been predicting relationships since I was young. I was on Lifetime for all the marriages and relationships I predicted. I'm known as the #1 love psychic, but I predict for the world. And you're going to start seeing that you're going to know if this person's right or wrong for you. Because a lot of people have been in emotionally, mentally, physically bad relationships, either their marriages, friendships, and that's going to change. Everyone's going to start to see for themselves, and it's going to start being a kinder place. The one major prediction that I predict, and I predicted this 2 years ago, that I predict in 2012, December 11th, and you could write this prediction down because it's way in advance. St. Louis, Missouri is going to have sandblasters in a major earthquake. So if you know anybody in that area, I predicted it in, I read it in the Boca magazine when I was here in March. My predictions were in the Boca magazine. That happened. I also predicted a stock crash, which is kind of happening right now. But the economy, you're going to start to see after the election this year. I predicted gas prices would go up to $4 in the January issue. Then I said after the election, or like around October, November time, which I said, you're going to start seeing gas going down. And it's going to go down to below the $3 a gallon.
That's happening this week, actually. They're
Right.
talking about it 3
But
days.
I said,
and we're happy about that.
No, but I had this in the January issue. You know, this is my prediction that was in there. And it's happening now. And you're going to see it going down to like the 2-somethings again, thank God. And when I did my lecture last March, I said you're going to start to see, when I was in the panel on Sunday last time, I said that once the election happens, you're going to start to see a change with the world, you know, with the economy. You're going to start to see finances getting better. You're going to start to see gas going down, which it is, thank God. You're going to start to see people getting jobs. So by 2012, the economy is going to be picked up. And, you know, there's always some worries in the world, you know, but you're not going to see all these terrorists out there doing what they're doing. And that's also going to stop a lot with next year. You'll see that too. So the one main thing is you're going to start to see major good changes, you know, for the better, and better changes with people, and not a lot of new, like cancer, for cancer victims. The stem cell is going to be out there. That's going to help Parkinson's diseases, and it's going to help diabetes. And right now, if I would say back when I was 13, and I remember sitting next to Larry King on the radio on WIOD.
I bet that was scary. What was that?
He got mad. I called him a horse. I said he looked like a horse. I'm sorry. We love each other. You know, he's a very wonderful man.
Now he looks a little more like the Crypt Keeper.
No, he's a really he's a wonderful man. But I remember back then when I would say, "Do you know what you're going to meet a Sag?" And people would call in, "What's a Sag?" You know? And I said, or like we just ended Mercury retrograde today, okay? Really yesterday, but you always count 7 days. It's like a barbecue. It's still hot, okay? So it's still going on for another week. But if I would say that when I was 13 on radio, people are like, what is Mercury retrograde? What's a Sagittarius? What's a Scorpio? Now if I ask somebody, or if I say, you know what, you're going to meet a Scorpio. Oh my God, a Scorpio, that's what I love. It's a fire, it's this, it's that. Everybody's more in tune now. But back then, they weren't. If no one was really into their intuition back then, now they're into it. Now you're like, want to know. You want to know what's going on. You're more in tune. You're working on your health. People weren't really working out back then. They weren't eating healthy. They weren't into raw foods, vegetables, staying away from meat. You know, meat causes epilepsy, if I could say.
Yeah, okay.
Causes cancer, too. That's why you need the whole foods. But, you know, people are more into their health now. Back then they weren't. So it's just gradually going to get better. That's what I'm trying to say, get better and better. And plus, I will be speaking. I don't want to lose time. It's already 11 o'clock. But
actually, that's my job. Jill's speaking in the Murray Hill Room at 3 o'clock, actually.
And at the end of this year,
4th floor.
I write on the horoscope for the globe, and I combined, it takes me a whole day, I combined all the areas, because not all areas are the same. Everybody's different. And I combined everybody together.
All the
so,
Aries or all the areas?
Aries. Aries. Like Aries, Sag, Scorpio.
Oh, okay, that's it, right, yeah, okay.
So what I'm saying is at the end of this, the end of the year, I have a 12 pages where it's the whole year of each sign and my major predictions for the world. And I will be talking about my predictions in my lecture. I'll be talking about love signs, soulmates, and relationships, and I will be giving out predictions that you don't know yet. Thank you.
New Jersey's finest, Jill Day, ladies and gentlemen.
Plus, you can listen to my radio show every Sunday on 1470 AM. You go to jilldane.com, and you can listen to the show live.
Ta-da, there we go. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, my brothers. I would just like to say, my good personal friend. Doesn't the dog of destiny get to say a few words?
You want to hear him talk?
No, it's okay. Oh! Oh, don't scare him. Oh!
Oh, he's heading out.
There we go. You got enough rope there, Reverend? You got to kind of scoot over a little bit. Watch out for the water there. There we go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Ayatollah Rock and Rolla, the Dean of the University of Spiritual Upliftingness, Reverend James Capers. Take it away, Reverend James.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to the panel today. I absolutely adore my brother Sean. He is just wonderful. Can we just give him a clap today? He's doing a wonderful job. My sister Jill says that Sean is a walking library. I say that he's an avatar.
Yeah, all the books are checked out and the fines are due. So.
Everything is just channeled through him. For those of you who don't know exactly what I do, I am a trans-channel avatar. I connect to consciousness worldwide. I'm highly telepathic, and I steal secrets from government officials by, when I'm in their room, I read their minds. And sometimes, you know, we don't know who's who, because a lot of government officials are not always in their office. You know, you have secretaries, you have different people who may work with someone who is prominent. And sometimes you don't know who they are, and you're in the room, and all of a sudden you're hearing this incredible information. And that's what I want to talk to you today about, the changes that I see that spiritually and clairvoyantly that I'm picking up upon the planet. And I also want to share to you things that I absolutely know about what government is perceiving for the changes upon the planet today, too. 2012, as everyone knows, is a very important time period upon our planet. And due to star alignment and planetary alignment and the stars, this is going to be a time in which people who are already gifted, their powers shall move through a transitional stage of higher levels of vibration. What does that mean? Meaning that people who already are seers are going to increase their powers tremendously. Meaning that we are now maybe using 15% of our brain, and because of this particular time period, what is going to occur is that it's going to occur that there's going to be an ability to use 35% of the brain, or more in some cases. So based upon this time period, there is a clairvoyant evolution. A clairvoyant evolution. We are at the threshold, in which now this bookmarks a higher level of clairvoyancy. Why? Because Telepathy is the ability to read the mind, but is also the universal intergalactic communication. So therefore, other beings from other planets, however, may never be able to speak English, French, German, whatever, but a thought travels from one being to the next being. So as the universe has now began to evolve for there to be intergalactical communications, we are now being prepared to be able to communicate with other extraterrestrials. Now you don't have to be someone who was superior in gifts. Now you can be an ordinary person and be able to communicate. The next thing that I want to talk about is the year 2012 will be the time where multiple different planets shall come and begin to seed the earth. That means that they will begin to plant their life forms upon this planet. Now, we all know that there have been multiple visitations and multiple aliens that have already lived among us. Some of the aliens that are living among us move so quickly and so fast, we're like still statues. And this is one of the reasons why we cannot see them. Most of us have a concept of what alien life forms are, what they look like. But I dare you to understand some of the alien life forms that I have seen are microscopic. So how can you see something that is so small that you can barely see under a microscope? So the year 2012 shall bring forth also multiple life forms from other planets to our world. 2012 shall bring forth the new magenta children. How many of you know about the magenta children? Aha, so we do have some people here. The magenta children, which are what is called the mystic warriors, are the new doctors. Could you imagine now going to the doctor and no longer having to take radiation treatment for cancer, no longer being cut open to have something removed from the body? The new magenta children are what we call clairvoyants, the true clairvoyant healers, the ones who will be able to heal your body through mind transformation by a thought. Thinking and seeing and realizing where the illness is in the body and being able to mentally project that illness outside of the body. Also high levels of manifestors. People who can do extraordinary things with a higher level of the development of the brain. So this new portion of 2012 brings forth a new enlightenment of the brain, the human brain, where some shall receive more and higher levels of intellectual capacity. Now, because we're all different, all of us will not receive an equal amount. It depends upon what your DNA programming can receive. But there shall be some that shall be exceptional. And there shall be some that will be good, and there will be some that are great, like Star Fuentes.
That's because you just walked into the back. Hey, Star, how you doing?
I also want to talk to you today about some of the things that are absolutely incredible in government development today concerning weaponry. The United States government has, in fact, developed machinery and new technology for teleportation. Finally, huh? So let me give you the ins and outs about what I found out. I happened to be on a plane, and Sean and I were talking about it last night, with the person who was the head of the United States Weapons Development. And one of the things that I picked out of his mind was the fact that now they have actually discovered the technology to teleport small objects. Now, this is very important to all of you here, and I'm going to tell you why. Every time there is new high levels of technology, it changes humanity. Remember the atom bomb? How that changed the technology in the world as we know it today, and nuclear weapons when they were introduced, and then the United States became like James Brown. I'm bad. I'm super bad. Like that, huh?
Love that. Love that stuff.
And now, with this newfound technology where they're able to teleport small objects, of course they're working on the ability to teleport humans. But at this,
is that why Dick Cheney seems to be everywhere?
Yes, he's everywhere. Oh, Dickie himself. At this point, they have not achieved the ability to teleport life forms such as a fly or a mosquito or a little bird. At this point, that technology, as they're teleporting live living creatures, they die. But it is at this point, it is with their intention to develop in a superior level to be able to teleport mankind anywhere. Now, could you imagine you're laying in the bed and all of a sudden somebody's teleported right next to you? How did you get in here? Oh, Scotty beamed me up.
Yeah, get out of here, Angela.
So now we're laughing at this.
Stop that, Kate Hudson. Get away.
So we're laughing at this new technology, but it's real. It's no longer science fiction.
And this was the weapons designer was the gentleman you were sitting next to on a plane in first class.
Yes. And so it's no longer science fiction. And as it's no longer science fiction, it's kind of strange because, you know, when we were growing up, I used to watch Johnny Quest and all these other little shows. Oh, the Jetsons, that's the one. And they used to have those little TVs where you know
TV
wristwatches and all this kind of stuff, and you know it was fantasy. And now you're finding these things are no longer fantasies. How can this change the world? If such weaponry is fully developed, it could cause chaos, more chaos than the things that we're already going through. So as 2012 comes forth, and those of you who evolve into the higher levels of consciousness, your duty and my duty and everyone's duty and responsibility is to always stand for the positive good. An act of kindness goes a far way. An act of love goes even farther. Stand up for what is right, always, and always try to do good, because you can make a difference. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. There it is. Love it. The prophet of Zoom, Reverend James Capers right there. All right, now it's time for you, New York City. You, put on your thinking caps. Come on. You got any questions? Anybody, anywhere? I know you've just been burning with a desire. Yes, Reginald.
In the next 18 months.
Next 18 months, I'll repeat the question for you out there.
In the next 18 months, what would each of you suggest as for individuals pitfalls for them to avoid? I'm not talking about
in the next 18 months, what would the panel suggest pitfalls for us to avoid? 30 seconds, take it.
It's always been the understanding to go inside and actually identify lower thoughts and feelings that are debasing you from your higher path. So the first and most important thing is to have an understanding of what's going on the inside. If one is full of chatter and is unable to shut down the chatter in their heads, get with us later because we've got the solution to silence your mind. But the fact is that you need to actually be in a very quiet place to identify thought form and actually ascend and actually transmute this thought form and rise above it. It's very important that each individual begins to master the inner planes. This is the most important area that we're working in. Because if we master the inner planes, we're no longer creating the undesirable outcome in the outer experience. So it's extremely important that we all enter into inner mastery. That's what we're here for. Let's get busy.
There we go. Next 18 months, what would you do?
Yeah, well,
Short and sweet. What would you do to avoid the pitfalls?
I got that short and sweet part. I did. I really did. Let me say that one of the things that's happening about the whole 2012 is that basically there are stargates that are opening. Because of these alignments, these stargates really allow us to graduate. So the question is, how close are you to graduation? That would be the question I would ask myself. If you need to clean up whatever your stuff is, if it's addiction, if it's lust, anger, greed, vanity, attachment, forgiveness, guilt, whatever your unfinished emotional stuff is, go clean it up. Because the more you can drop those bags of boulders, the freer you will be to graduate. And then you can choose. If you want to come back to this beautiful planet, you can, If you want to go on to a higher plane, you can. And I love what Thomas said about really beginning to work in the inner planes. And the key to that is releasing those through forgiveness, the whole Christ consciousness thing. Love, of course, love of self, love of whatever your experience is, and that way you dissolve that difference in between, the contrast between what you won't allow in your life. Do you know what I mean? The judgment that we all are taught at our parents' knee. And you begin to work with the light, the sound, and the love, which are the three primary aspects of the divine. Light, love, sound, the sound current.
There we go. Judy Satori, next 18 months, what are the pitfalls we have to avoid?
The most important thing we need to avoid is blaming ourselves.
Oh.
Blaming ourselves when
do we do a lot of that after the election?
Well, we may. I won't comment on the election.
Wrong guy. Oh.
What we do a lot of is blaming ourselves when our thoughts get out of whack. And we think, why am I feeling this way? Why am I having these thoughts? What is wrong with me? And we look at everybody else out there and we think, why can't I be like them? They've got it all together. But the thing is, we're all being affected by the blast of energy coming through the stargates. And this is reaming us out. This is bringing up our stuff. This is clearing us. And the most important thing we can do to help ourselves is consciously create love within our being. And you do this by imagining golden white light coming through the crown, coming into the heart chakra, and then deliberately with your creation, your visualization, and your capacity to do this, just create and imagine that you're sending love from the heart through every cell of your body. And then you feel your vibration change in your body. And then get that love to go to joy by just imagining joy. Imagining that you're pulling joy into your heart and you're sending joy out from your being. And then move into peace. And just sit there in meditation and just be peace. And even if you did this twice a day and did nothing else, you'd start to feel a lot better because you'd be changing your energy field around. You'd be changing the vibrations going on in you. And it would be helping to clear this.
There we go. Allison James, next 18 months, what are the pitfalls we need to avoid? Good question, Reggie, too, by the way. Thank you very much. We got 10 minutes.
I would like to suggest that you all avoid is hitting the repeat button. We all get
what was that again?
Things. Hitting the repeat button. Hitting the repeat button. And we have a tendency to do that. And it's being open to change. Be willing to allow those thoughts and ideas and feelings and emotions to flow through. And the more you allow them, you will make that space for that transition. And one of the things that will keep you in that repeat mode is fear. So know that fear is just an emotion that is an effect, if you like, of the negative ego, that little chatter that goes on in your head that says you can't do this and this person's this and all of that negative stuff that you hear. Let it go and just let it flow. Thank you.
Amen. Allison James, there you go. Jill Dane. Pitfalls, next 18 months. What do we need to avoid?
First of all, I'd like to understand why 18 months. Why not now?
Well, that's between now and 2010, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's.
First of all, 18 is a good luck number. It means high. But in the next 18 months, people should be starting to make up with others. They should, if there's any grudges against one another, if you have anyone in your office or coworkers, you should, there shouldn't be, half the people work with each other, they're gossip columns, and then they're sweet to people's faces, and they should be starting to make up with family members that you're not speaking to for like years.
So fixed relationships would be a
fixed relationship, family relationships, friends, and besides working on yourself, you know, instead of feeling bad for yourself, you should start feeling bad for others. You should be helping people with charities too, you know, helping people that are in need, and also saving your money. That's what you should be doing this year. Saving your money, because next year, like I said, financially will start, like in 2012, financially will start getting better, and also the economy will start getting better next year, but start holding on to your money. And with the stocks,
cash is king. There we go.
Keep your money, I know this sounds weird, it may sound bad, but keep your money in the stock right now. You take it out, because I definitely see it going back up.
Reverend James, next 18 months, what are the pitfalls we need to avoid?
Well, the first thing that each individual should do is to make sure that you have an aura cleaning. Have any negativity, any webs of negative karma that might be attached to you, be cleared. And when I say aura clearing, it is important that your life force be clean, it be strong, and be powerful. Those of you who have chakras that are not aligned, you should have a good, clear balancing in order to attract positivity, such as, I hate to say the word, good luck, and positive people around you. You should be aligned. Your crown chakra should be aligned, third eye, throat chakra. Without being able to communicate effectively, the throat chakra must be aligned. Your heart chakra, reaction, how you react to people. Your heart chakra should be balanced. Grounding, centering, and balancing is essential in order to be able to deal with negativity. It starts at home first and goes outward. If home is dirty, filthy, and unclean, then how are you going to go forward? Then essentially, those of you who may be undergoing some problems, seek out counseling. Be able to, and a good counselor, a good mentor. Secondly, those of you who are desiring to go forward and to become a strong person and a strong person who's interacting, take classes. Where there might be some weaknesses within the next 18 months, get strength in those weaknesses, and especially developing your powers, your spiritual powers, because this is a very important time. This is the preparation that needs to be made before going into the year 2012. Will you be properly prepared going into the transitional state? And these are simplistic forms of development, simplistic things that each and every one of you can do in order to go forward. It's not woo, 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 far and out of space. It's things that you can actually do yourselves. Thank you.
Amen. There we go. I got 5 minutes. So let me throw, Reggie, because you and I are buddies, let me throw a little USC football, University of Southern California Trojan football stuff at you. Pete Carroll and I are pretty good friends. And not a lot of people know that Pete at one time was offered the directorship of the Esalen Institute in California, and he said no because he felt he could affect people better through sports on a larger stage. If you guys know anything about football at all, and he came up with the term "win forever," and I came up with the Latin for it, which is "Victoria Aeternum." And the whole idea about it is that it's never about the other guy; it's always about you. How did I create the situation? How did I create that reaction in that person? What can I do? Because you can't control a single other person on this planet. You can only control what you do and what your actions are. They never get up for big games. They never get too down. Of course, Oregon State was kind of a down, but they never get too up for it because it doesn't matter who the other guy is. It matters about you. King Leonidas, the king of Sparta, had a very famous saying, our enemies are nameless and faceless. But if we perfect the work that is placed in front of us, victory cannot help but be ours. Now, of course, he got his ass kicked by Persia, but it's still at the same time. That's the philosophy in that. That's kind of the work hard Trojan ethic that we talk about. That's why they become one of the most successful football programs of the 21st century. It's never about the other guy. It's always about you. What can I control? What can I do now? How do I control my reactions? If somebody else is angry at me, I start thinking to myself, what did I do to press a button inside that person? How can I, and if I actually approach the person and say, well, what did I do to make you this way? What did I do how can I improve my communication skills to be able to better communicate, to create peace and harmony between ourselves? And it's remarkable because then the conflict just kind of disappears because you're not laying fault or blame out there on anybody else. You're not cracking that schism with other people. And one other thing, too, is that really the key to enlightenment is to stop seeking enlightenment. Now, I know that sounds weird, but you stop seeking it because true enlightenment is simply being able to stay in the same place and adjust your thoughts and your minds to whatever circumstances are presented to you in every day. That's what true mastery is. True mastery is somebody who is not just meditating in a cave. I lived I studied with the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala in northern India. I lived in a monastery in Nepal for the better part of 8 months or so. And when I left to come back to California, Rinpoche Lobsang Tundun said, it's easy to be the Buddha sitting by a pond in the mountains. It's harder to be out where you are, where you have to deal with the Maya and the ravening tiger of illusion every single day. The idea is to be able to adjust your mindset so that you're never off kilter, so that you're never out of balance, so that you are constantly in a state of enlightenment, whether you're in a cave or sitting by yourself or at the grocery store or on the subway, and to actually adjust that light within yourself to shine no matter what the circumstances are. Does that make sense? Yes. With that, there we go. I got two gentlemen that are jumping up and down up there. What do we got? The gentleman in the front and then the gentleman right behind you. The gentleman in the front. Yes, sir.
Real quick, is there any governmental quest for tapping 0.0 energy?
Is there any what?
Governmental sponsored.
Tapping. Is there any governmental tapping 0 point energy? Reverend James, maybe you want to take that one real quick because we've only got like 5 minutes left. So,
2 years ago, I spent in India with the president of Samsung company, and in fact, you're absolutely correct. They are working with atoms and stretching electrons with wavelengths, polarization, and some kind of light beams, laser beams. Right. So at that point, you're absolutely right. And there's something else going on in France with that big long thing that's going under the
advanced super collider.
Yeah, super collider. So there, in fact,
there's one in Brookhaven too, by the way.
Yeah. So you are absolutely right. There is some advancements that are being made, but I'm going to speak on that on Sunday. Thank you.
All you got to do. Okay, go.
I do want to also say there's something called the Ganesha particle that.
Ganesha particle.
Yeah, the Ganesha particle.
Is that a particle that has a head like an elephant?
No. It's something that completely cleans up water and opens stargates.
Peanuts to my God, please.
Unfortunately, the government is definitely trying to exploit.
Area 51, I can answer your question. I've been out at Area 51. I've seen the saucers. I've seen the stuff. We photographed it. We filmed it. Once again, remember, consumer technology is all the crap that's designed to obsolescence, that's designed to break almost a day after the warranty wears out. Military technology is usually 10 to 15 years ahead of anything you've heard of. And there seems to be a black world beyond that, if you can imagine this, maybe seems to be anywhere between 50 and some have debated maybe 100 years ahead of, once again, anything you've heard of. So as far as 0 point energy goes, guys like J.R. Searle and Townsend Brown and all that were tapping that stuff all back in the 50s, and some say the Germans were actually tapping it back in the 20s and the 30s with their flying saucer program at that time. Now, the gentleman right behind you, I said, answer a question because you're both looking very panicked. Go.
Okay. Do you see the possibility for us breaking through the false construct that we've been living in?
Oh, the Matrix.
Like with energy, with economics, just all
Do you see us breaking through the false construct? Allison, why don't you take that one?
I would like to say briefly that we have reached this fifth dimensional unconditional love. It is a very high frequency. So hold that thought, hold that positive thought. Don't allow that negative thought that it will overcome you to overwhelm you. That when you hold that positive thought, and we all do collectively, that is what's going to change our world.
Well, hey, Judy, you have something to say? Go, please.
That it is part of a divine plan that we reach this point. And all the forces in heaven are helping us. All the forces in many dimensions of reality, many light beings are helping us get there. So we're not alone. It is part of the plan.
And actually just realizing you're in a matrix is part of actually breaking the matrix. Just understanding that everything around you is code and contracts and laws and whatever else helps you break the matrix. We live in the light-encoded reality matrix that is the universe, created by the GOD, the generator, operator, destroyer, who creates a soul in you, which stands for survival of universal life, that then creates what we call sin, which is a system interference nexus. Therefore, when you understand that it's all energy and it's all a holographic field, that all you have to do is break it with an equal and opposite positive force and energy.
I would like to also say at the very physical level of, alternative energies, socially and politically, aside from all the wonderful, spiritual stuff these guys have been talking about, I think that Obama is someone who is very, very dedicated to literally changing the entire paradigm. And I think we're very,
I'm not so sure in a good way, though. But it's
Well, I think that we're very challenged because Halliburton, of course, as most of you know, Dick Cheney installed voting machines that changed the votes in five.
That's Diebold, actually, but yeah, okay, go ahead.
In about 5 different states. And I think there are about 9 states that have been compromised at this point. But if the polls show that, it's a 70% Obama, and then we wind up having, what they're planning is the 51% McCain win, there's going to be such a disparagement. It's going to be very interesting to see.
Oh, but they'll just say, Americans are racist, and they didn't want to tell the pollsters how they were going to vote. Yeah, okay, so it's...
Well, I do think that we have an opportunity to change the paradigm if we put someone who is not oil in the White House.
If you just stay in this room, next in half an hour is my brother from another mother, Thomas Morton, who is fantastic and fascinating. At 1 p.m., there's some joker named Sean David Morton that's in here at 1 o'clock talking a bunch of crap. Trisha McCannon's in the same room at 2 o'clock. Judy Humphrey Satori, Eep Op Ork the extraterrestrial channel, is in here at 3 o'clock. Jill Dane is in the Murray Hill room, also at 3 o'clock. Reverend James Capers, the Prophet of Zoom, is in the Soho room at 2 o'clock. And the lovely Winnie the Pooh reading, Allison James, in the Tribeca room at 4 o'clock. All is one. Life has purpose. God is love. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Thanks for coming.